Hello everybody, this is Shady here, and today we're going to be doing another collection video. And for today's, we are going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite systems of all time, the Nintendo 3DS. I don't have the biggest collection, it's only like 21 games. But yeah, it's a system I really love, legit one of my favorite systems of all time. I think if it wasn't for the PS2, it'd be my favorite system of all time. Yeah, it was just a great time in gaming. I really do miss that dual screen approach to gaming. I think it's like one of the best ever, so unique. You know, it's just something that is just so Nintendo, you know, doing something so interesting and unique. Obviously, before we talk about the games, I'm going to show you the system for starters. I have a couple of 3DS systems. There was like 6 models in all. The first one I'll talk about is this one. So this is the original model, specifically the Flare Red model, a really amazing, just kind of really premium, like cool looking system in my opinion. Like this original 3DS model is my favorite console of all time personally, look wise. I do apologize, kind of got a bit of a cold going on, so. But yeah, this was really cool. What I love about this system is it just looks like a premium version of the original DS, which is what's so awesome about it. You know, it has this cool metallic finish. You know, has the solid black bezel there. You have the slightly bigger screen compared to the original DS. That cool looking circle pad, the matching buttons. Unfortunately, I've lost my actual stylus, but I had this really cool kind of like adjustable one. It just looks really cool. Yeah, just an amazing system. And yeah, obviously, like I said, I didn't quite get the 3DS at launch because like it was $250 or something. Like, it was a ridiculous price. But then I think like a few months down the line, like 6 months later, they cut the price significantly, included all these cool games and everything for the ambassadors. I didn't quite get the ambassador version, but I was lucky enough to be able to pick up this Flare Red version for like, I think £100 less than what it originally launched at, which was insane. I picked up from this place called CEX, Computer Exchange, basically. It was like this kind of place where you get used games and you can trade games in, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like a pawn shop for video games and other media and stuff. Most people you'll see kind of retro YouTubers in the UK will be talking about CX, so I'm sure you probably have heard of them before. But yeah, really great system. And obviously that's not the only thing. There was a really cool accessory that you could get for this system because obviously, as you saw, it only had one circle pad. So we had this cool thing, the Circle Pad Pro. Essentially, this was created for like the games that would need that second analog stick, and you basically just do this. You turn it the right way around, obviously, and then you clip it in. Then yeah, you have like, basically, you have your second analog stick and you can play like you would in a traditional game. And you have these cool buttons here, you have this extra third button just up here. This is the way I mainly played my 3DS and it was really comfortable. But yeah, this was basically just made for Monster Hunter essentially. But then there was other games that did utilize it as well, which was really cool. Because obviously, as you guys know, Monster Hunter is a massive deal in Japan. And Nintendo getting it for 3DS was a big deal. It basically cemented its success in Japan. So they had to have this second analog stick. Obviously, you could use the touchscreen for for like camera movement, but it just didn't work quite as well. So you had this here. And obviously, what was cool, typically like with Nintendo, you know, similar to like the Motion Control Plus or the actual second Motion Control Plus controller in and of itself, they bundled it with games as well. So you can get it with a few of the different games, like the said Monster Hunter game and a couple others. So yeah, you didn't need to go out your way just to get it specifically. I remember at one point these were kind of hard to get as well because everyone wanted it for for the specific games it was released for. But yeah, really cool accessory. And then obviously, if you don't want to mess about with that, you have this, which is the new 3DS, just the regular model. Obviously, yeah, these are the Fire Emblem Birthright and Conquest faceplates. They're not the original ones, they're like reproduction ones I got. Because yeah, the original ones are ridiculously expensive. I only just got this new 3DS last year because I want to upgrade to the newer one. Because you know, I still do like collecting for 3DS. And yeah, it's just a really cool model. Obviously, as you can see, it's got the matte finish instead. And obviously, like I said, this original 3DS model allowed you to have these swappable faceplates, which is kind of also the reason why I wanted to get it. And yeah, you have that little nub there instead of the actual thing. Then you have the cool looking colors, it's kind of Super Nintendo-esque with this as well, which is really cool. I think it just looks awesome. It gives it a real cool glow up. And obviously, yeah, you put the carts in the bottom as opposed to the top as well, which is awesome. And yeah, it's just a really cool version. And obviously, both the original and the three new variations of this 3DS had an XL and a 2DS counterpart. So yeah, there's like 6 different models there and loads of different colors and everything for whatever you want. I would suggest getting a new 3DS model if you're going to get one, but if you want to go a bit cheaper, you've got the 2DS or original models if you prefer. And obviously, like I said, you could just use Sakurai Pro. The new model has a bit more horsepower, so there's some games that only work on it. Not very many. Yeah, recently Scott the Woz did a video talking about new 3DS exclusive games, which is kind of the reason that spurred me on wanting to do this video in the first place. But anyway, let's actually talk about the games. I've taken like 6 minutes of time just talking about the console itself. But yeah, let's talk about the games. The first one in my collection, we have Pilot Wings Resort. So what is this? So if you guys remember, the Super Nintendo and the N64 had a Pilot Wings game. N64 had it as a launch title, so they decided for 3DS, we're going to do the same thing. And the resort aspect is because obviously you had Wii Sports Resort. So this is basically just set on the island. Yeah, basically you can do like gliding, jetpacking, I guess is what you call it. And flying with those things. You do little obstacles. Has really cool music. It's just a very chill kind of game. If you want a cool, relaxing game, you can't go wrong with Pilot Wings. This is very cheap as well, so really fun game. Next up, the 3DS actually had some awesome fighting games. It had one at launch, which was Super Street Fighter 4 3D. So they like the N64, they added 3D to the end of all games on this platform, which is amazing. And yeah, this is just Super Street Fighter 4, but just a kind of downgraded 3DS version. Unfortunately, I think it only runs at like 30 frames a second. It does have the cool 3D feature. And yeah, you have a specific camera mode just for that 3D feature, which is awesome. But yeah, it's a fully featured version of that game, which is amazing. So really cool. And obviously there was other fighting games. Another one I have is Dead or Alive 3D, or Dead or Alive Dimension. Sorry, it's not called 3D. But yeah, obviously, like any man, I want to play Dead or Alive in 3D. Obviously, you know, for no specific reason, you know. But yeah, it's just a really solid game. I really like this one because it's kind of it's basically more in the style of like 2 and 3, which I really like. Has that sort of visual style of those games. I mean, the Dead or Alive games are also really cool. I just never really got into 5 and 6 personally, but yeah, 2, 3, and 4 are amazing. Not that they're bad games, but yeah, this is just a really solid. It's just a solid Dead or Alive game. You know, you can't really go wrong. More style over substance as a fighting game, but it's still really fun. Next up, we have Tetris. But it's actually not Tetris, weirdly enough. This is Monster Hunter 3. Specifically Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, so the ultimate version of the game. There was a version of Monster Hunter 4 as well. But yeah, I got Monster Hunter 3 loose with a bunch of other DS games, random trash DS games for cheap. And for some reason, it came in the cover for Tetris Ultimate. I need to actually buy Tetris Ultimate because I've heard it's actually amazing. But yeah, it's really cool. But Monster Hunter itself, obviously, if you guys have played the games, they're basically, you know, you're basically just fighting monsters. You're getting loot, you're using that loot to build better equipment and weapons to be able to fight stronger ones. And you can do it co-op as well. So basically, they added the co-op feature from like the PSP version. Because obviously, it was a big deal that Sony had it on the PSP. So yeah, Nintendo made sure to get it on their platforms, and it's very weird because like you have like mainline Monster Hunter, which is exclusive to Nintendo, and then you have like the World's spin-offs, which are kind of on the other consoles, which is strange. But yeah, really solid game. I think if you're at the ultimate version, this did also get ported to the Wii U, so it's like a HD version of it with some more special features and stuff. But yeah, solid game anyway. Next up, we have the Mario sports game, Mario Tennis Open. Yeah, just a cool tennis game. You know, these games are really fun because You know, it's a tennis game, but then it's also arcadey. They all have their own special moves and blah blah blah. And yeah, it's just it's a solid entry. You can find it really cheap. You don't have to worry. You know, you can have a good time. And obviously, if we're going to talk about Mario, we've got to talk about Mario 3D World, Super Mario 3D World. If it wasn't for, sorry, this is Super Mario 3D Land, sorry. If it wasn't for Mario 3D World, this would be my favorite Mario game, personally. So yeah, this is basically like a 3D version of old school Mario, where you have 8 worlds, different levels, you have the timer going down, all the classic suits and everything, you know, like the Tanuki suit and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just a really solid game, and it's actually a lot of fun to play in 3D itself, because it does a lot of really cool things with the perspective and like falling down on all sorts of things. It's actually really cool. Very solid game. Like I said, obviously Mario 3D World on Wii U and 3DS is like just a better version, but it's still really cool. If you have a 3DS, you have to buy this game. So yeah, you have no choice. Next up, we're going to talk about a Final Fantasy game. One of the few that I have on 3DS, which is Theatre Rhythm, or Theatrhythm. I don't quite sure how you say it, but it's basically just a Final Fantasy rhythm game. Really solid game. You basically get to experience all those amazing tracks from different Final Fantasy games. You get these cool little chibi versions of the characters, and yeah, you're basically just tapping away. You know, if you want Final Fantasy Guitar Hero or whatever, you know, you got it here. They've done other versions of this. I think they did like a Kingdom Hearts version. It's an updated version on the newer consoles and everything. And yeah, one annoying thing is there was a lot of DLC with this game, and none of that is available now, unfortunately. But it's still really good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. You know, I think obviously you have to be a Final Fantasy fan to care. But yeah, I love all the music in the games, and being able to play it was just good. Next up, we had another game. This was an early release, Resident Evil, The Mercenaries 3D. So yeah, this is basically, they took the Mercenaries mode from 4 and 5 and /6 and turned it into its own game. Annoyingly, you don't have Leon in this, which irritates me, but you do get Claire and Jill, and you can have Jill as Resident Evil 3 Jill, which is awesome. And what's really cool is each of the different costumes versions of the characters, I think, have different setups or something. So basically, how this works is each character will have different weapons, loadouts that you would use. Basically, timer runs down, you have to take out as many enemies as possible. Killing multiple enemies will get yourself a nice bonus. And yeah, you also get time crystals to increase time. And there's all sorts of little intricacies. But with this version, it's a little bit different, because they create certain little tasks that you do within certain levels. So it doesn't quite work like normal Mercenaries. It's a bit padded out to make it more of a game. You have like boss battle levels and ones where it's like you have to get so many of a melee kill and that sort of thing. Like you'll have 3 objectives per certain levels. It starts off slow, ramps up to like more difficult ones and stuff. But it's really good, it's solid. I managed to get this brand new for like, I think under a $5. So for my American viewers there, that would be like, you know, I don't know, $4 or something, whatever. I don't know the conversion rate actually, but yeah, under $10, I guess. But yeah, at the time I got it for like, yeah, basically peanuts, brand new, like, because I guess no one wanted this. But there was actually a reason to get this, and that was because, I don't know if you can see it anywhere if they advertise it, but basically there's a little teaser of the next game we're going to talk about, Resident Evil Revelations. You basically just get to play as Jill. You go down this little corridor, you fight a couple enemies, and that's it. But it was just really cool to be able to play it. And it's the main reason I got it, just because I want to try that out. Because, yeah, the next game we're going to talk about, Resident Evil Revelations. This is the reason why I actually bought a 3DS. As soon as they announced this game, that's when I went out and bought that 3DS. But yeah, this is amazing. As you can see, I have this cool tickler or whatever you call it, one that closes the eyes. Yeah, this is a full-on Resident Evil game on a handheld, and it is amazing. This is like the best looking game on the system. And yeah, basically how it works is you start off, you're playing as Jill and her partner Parker, I think his name is. They're doing the back there. You're going on this boat called the Queen Zenobia, which is essentially a mansion at sea, because it's Resident Evil, I guess. It has like a casino and all sorts of other stuff. It's like a luxury cruiser basically. And you basically, I think like Chris has gone missing or something like that. You're on, or there's this group called Veltro, a terrorist organization. You're trying to stop them, figure out what the hell's going on. And what's really cool is you will have chapters between that where you play as like Chris and some other characters, where it's a bit more kind of actiony. So the dual segments are cool because it's like a little bit more a cross between like Resident Evil 4 and a bit more survival horror, classic Resident Evil. And then obviously those Chris and other segments are like RE5, just going crazy, killing enemies. Really cool game. And what I really like about this particular version is it lets you do a few cool things. First of all, you can actually use the laser sight like in 4, 5, and 6, which is awesome. Unlike the later HD releases, which gave you the crosshair. And you can even shoot in first person, which is amazing. Which is awesome. Yeah, because of the 3D effect, I guess, and they want to be more immersive. And then what's really cool, if you play, if you want to, obviously this is one of the few games that had Circle Pad Pro support and it came bundled with it. But if you played with Circle Pad Pro, you do the usual 2-stick kind of Resident Evil 5, 6 style controls. You can move and shoot and whatnot. But if you want to do like the RE4 style controls, where obviously an RE5, I guess, where you don't move and shoot, you can actually do that if you don't play with the Circle Pad Pro, which is awesome. So yeah, it gives you the most customization and controls in a Resident Evil game ever, and it's like amazing in my opinion. But next up, obviously we're going to talk about probably the biggest series in gaming history, which is Zelda, and obviously one of the early massive releases. Sorry, this cover's terrible, I know, but yeah, this is Zelda Ocarina of Time, and obviously this game. Sorry about that. And obviously this game revolutionized gaming, really, didn't it? It was the first fully 3D kind of world, revolutionized kind of action RPGs and all sorts. And it's just a great game. And what's amazing is this is basically a remake, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Not only is it just a incredible game in and of itself, but yeah, it's like a updated, amazing version. So obviously you can use the touchscreen functionality, gyro controls. The visuals look even better. Really cool, updated, detailed models. It adds the Master Quest, which obviously was originally going to be in the 64DD expansion for the N64, but then was added to the GameCube collection version. But you had to buy this. It didn't come with the Zelda collection. It came with the specific Ocarina of Time special version that you got with like pre-ordering Majora's Mask or something. But yeah, this is just a great version. Having that dual screen with the map present and built to menu and everything is so much better. It is just the definitive way to play the game. Hopefully we get another remake or re-release of this game at some point that improves everything. I'm not sure about that. And obviously next up, got this one, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. This is obviously a very, very cool game. I'm going to show you everything here. Obviously, yeah, with them doing Ocarina of Time, they had to do Majora's Mask as well. And yeah, it's just a solid release. Yeah, this is one of the 3DS games that is a little bit more up there in price. Thankfully, I found it for a decent enough price now. But yeah, it was kind of a bit more of a later release. And yeah, and it's a little bit more expensive. So just buyer beware. And I know there's a few changes with certain controls, things like the Zora swimming and one or two other things that I think some fans of the original game don't like. So look into that if you care about that. But yeah, just a good release. Pretty much exactly the same as Ocarina. Improved visuals. Added those dual screen functionality things as well. One thing I completely forgot. Both these games also had this feature where you have these little stones that you can go to if you're really struggling, and it will literally show you what to do. I can't remember what they're called again, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing really. Next up, we are going to talk about the final and original Zelda release. Well, not final, but the one I have anyway, which is Zelda A Link Between Worlds. And what is Zelda A Link Between Worlds? This is basically a sequel to A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo. And yeah, obviously it's done in that kind of 2.5D style. Yeah, this is kind of the graphical style that they would end up using with, what was it? I always forget the name of it, Link's Awakening. for 3DS or for Switch, sorry. I'm getting so confused. But yeah, this is just an amazing freaking Zelda game. There is one really weird thing about this game though. You have to basically, you have to buy, no, you have to rent the items from this guy before going into the dungeons, and if you die, he takes them back, and then you have to re-rent them. So yeah, you have to so because of that, you get so many rupees at every step because you have to keep buying them. Eventually, you do get to a point where you can just outright buy them, but it is a bit of an annoying thing if you lose. You have to go back to the guy, go back to the dungeon, blah blah blah, do all that, and it's kind of annoying. But it is a really solid game, and one really cool thing, you can probably see back there, but yeah, Link can kind of turn into this kind of 2D, drawn version of himself, go through walls and stuff to do puzzles and everything. Yeah, it's a great game. It's just unfortunate that it's stuck on 3DS. I really hope this is another one that they do port forward. It's kind of an issue with 3DS in general, that there's all these games that are just stuck on one particular platform. There's one game I forgot to grab, just give me 1 second. Another game. So it's 22 games actually. Yeah, so Metal Gear Solid 3D Snake Eater. So I did a video about Metal Gear Solid 3 recently, if you guys care. Just a bit of a buyer's guide sort of thing. But yeah, this is basically the most up-to-date updated version of the game until the remake comes out. Yeah, so they didn't just port over MGS3, they basically full-on remade the game in a way, because it adds the MGS4 style controls, where you can kind of move and shoot while you're crouched. Full 360-degree camera, just loads of really awesome quality of life changes. And obviously the coolest thing is you get to take it on the go with you as well, which is awesome. Obviously it's a bit strange because it's a very story heavy whatnot game, but it's still really cool. Maybe it's not the best thing for a handheld, but it's just an awesome oddity. And obviously they just wanted to show the power of the 3DS, so that's why we got this port. What's very strange is I think they also did a little demo where they had some sort of version of Resident Evil 5 running on 3DS as well, but nothing ever came to that. Obviously, we got Revelations anyway, so I guess it's fine. And I know that with the Vita, Konami had a thing with MGS4 going on. They showed a little cutscene playing on the Vita, but unfortunately, yeah, that never got ported to it. So, but yeah, really cool, solid game. One of the best in the series. The fan favorite. 2 is my favorite, but it's still a really solid game, and yeah, you should check it out. So next up, we got the Fire Emblem games. So first of all, we have Fire Emblem Echoes Shadow of Valencia. Yeah, this is basically a remake of a GBA game. With these Fire Emblem games, I picked these ones up recently because I got a really good price on them, so it's just something I couldn't turn down. Yeah, they usually go for quite a bit, but yeah, that's why I picked them up. So I haven't actually played any of these ones just yet, but yeah, I do intend to. Ollie really got big into Fire Emblem from playing 3 Houses, so it's I want to get these, and it was just I'm going to regret it if I don't buy these for this good price that I did. So yeah, that's pretty much why I picked them up. This one is the cheapest of the lot though, you will find. And yeah, it's just a solid little game. I'm saying it like I played it. But yeah, obviously, Fire Emblem, tactical, turn-based RPG, strategy RPG, with permadeath and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, there is kind of an ongoing story between each one of the games and the whole timeline and everything. But yeah, it's a really good series. But obviously the problem is, if you want to pick up most of the games, they're crazy expensive. But yeah, thankfully these 3DS ones I managed to find for a good price. And yeah. Next up, Fire Emblem Awakening. This is kind of the first game I have played this one before a little bit, but this was the start of the revival of Fire Emblem. A lot of people say this was kind of the last chance for the series, so they released this for 3DS, and because it ended up being quite a success, the series was able to go on. And what's really cool about this one, this is the first one to give you the option to not have permadeath, and I think that really helped with the series and with the success of this particular one, because I think that's something that put a lot of people off. It is something that has put me off a little bit as well. Obviously, the games did eventually add the rollback mechanic for your turns, so the permadeath thing doesn't matter quite as much, and you do get a lot of allies and everything, so it's not as big a deal as you think it is, and you shouldn't really let it put you off. But yeah, really cool game. And then there was a couple more. Obviously, yeah, Birthright and Conquest. These are weird because they both kind of go hand in hand. The stories kind of, I think, intertwine or one after the other, and you're meant to play one after the other or something like that. One really annoying thing is, though, if you want to get the complete experience of this game, it's going to cost you a lot, because there was another game. What's it called again? I can't remember. But basically, they did a version with both of these complete together, including that third game, which is kind of like, I think, bridges the gap between them or something like that. And the only other way you can get it was through DLC. So yeah, if you want the physical version of that third game, which I don't know the name of, I do apologize. Then yeah, you have to buy like a ridiculously expensive collector's edition, including all three, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, because these two can be quite expensive as they are. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting through those games at some point, even though I'm not going to be able to play the other game. But I've heard it's not like amazing or anything. It's a bit of a shorter thing. I suppose I could just watch a playthrough of it if I really want to. So, next up, we're going to talk about one of the few new 3DS exclusive games, and that is Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. So obviously, as you guys probably already know, I'm sure people have played the Xenoblade games on the Switch, but yeah, the original game was on the Wii, and it's kind of insane that they managed to make this giant open world, kind of basically MMO RPG, but single player obviously, for the Switch. And then, for the Wii, sorry. And then, impossibly, they managed to take that game, which was like insane in and of itself, and port that to the 3DS. Obviously, only new 3DS. That's why it's black and it has on the top there. Because obviously you'll notice, yeah, 3DS on the side there, new 3DS on the top there to help distinguish it. And they're also black as well, just to make sure. Don't be stupid. You can only play this on the new one. But yeah, this is an amazing game, and it just blows my mind. This is like what you call the impossible port, or like they must have used magic or something to get it to work. But yeah, apparently, yeah, it took a lot for them to do it. And obviously, it could only run on the newer console, yeah, you know. The problem with this now, obviously, is we have Definitive Edition on Switch, so there's kind of no point. But yeah, the older graphics have a charm to them and everything, and you know, I suppose if you played it on Wii or whatever, it's still worth picking up, you know. Because of Definitive Edition and all that, it's actually a bit cheaper. It's actually the cheapest version of Xenoblade Chronicles, if you're interested. And yeah, it's just really cool to have the second screen and all that sort of functionality as well. So, you know, for the menuing and the map and all that. In my opinion, that's like the peak features of DS/3DS, is having that for RPGs. So yeah, I've been able to play them. There's a charm to be able to play an RPG on that control scheme. So next up, there was another one, which is again is a Fire Emblem game, and that's Fire Emblem Warriors. Weirdly enough, this was a dual release on Switch as well, which is strange. And obviously, yeah, it can only really run on this. And yeah, obviously, basically, they did another one, Three Hopes, I think it's called, which was for the Switch, the sequel. And basically, you get to play as the different characters in Fire Emblem in a Musha-style game, like Dynasty Warriors, basically. So yeah, this is the like Hyrule Warriors as well. Hyrule Warriors did also get a port to 3DS as well after this, and they managed to get that one to run on regular 3DS, but with enhancements for the new 3DS. Whereas this one, obviously, I think because they wanted a game to push that newer system, they made it 3DS exclusive. So I'm sure they could have got it to run on the other one. But yeah, still a really cool game. And yeah, as you can see, it is actually sealed. I actually picked this up last year. And yeah, the fact that I managed to get a sealed 3DS game in 2023, kind of, there's a part of me which is like, I don't want to break the seal, because this is just too much of a cool thing. Who knows how many of them are actually out there. And then obviously, next up, I got another game which is also sealed, which is Donkey Kong Country 3D Returns, or Returns 3D. So this is, again, is another port of a Wii game. So this is basically like a kind of 3D or 2.5D version of the Donkey Kong Country games, like on the Super Nintendo, essentially. You know, very kind of hardcore platforming type of game. Can be quite difficult. And yeah, they managed to actually get it down onto the Switch, which is cool. They managed to downport it enough to run on the Wii, which is awesome. And what's really cool about this is the Wii version uses like motion controls and stuff, and this one just straight up just uses normal controls. So it's kind of the better version because of that. I think this did. I can't remember if this got ported to the Switch or if that was a sequel, but I think it's on the Switch as well. So yeah, but still a really cool version. And yeah, it's sealed, so you know it's awesome. And one that I just got recently, which kind of came as a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting it to be sealed, and that's Dragon Quest VII: Fragments of a Forgotten Past. So this is basically this was originally on the PS1, pretty late release. I think it was like 2001. I remember Happy Console Gamer did a whole video on this game. I think he's done a couple of videos, and then yeah, they decided to port it over to this system, 3DS. There was a famous thing with this game because basically they were going to keep it in Japan early, and there was a massive petition from like French fans and other people around the world to localize it, so they eventually did. And what's really awesome is not only did they port it, but obviously they update the visuals, added tons of extra content and quality of life features and everything, so it's basically a remake really, which is amazing. And obviously what's really cool is they also ported over 8 as well, which you can find for relatively cheap as well. And another really awesome thing with both of those games, this is like the coolest thing, they decided to make the enemies roaming as opposed to random encounters, which is amazing. Similar to like a Chrono Trigger type of thing. You still, obviously it still is a turn-based little combat system, but that's just awesome that they managed to do that, in my opinion. And yeah, obviously if you're interested in Dragon Quest, you do, on the DS, you do also have Dragon Quest 9, and I think there was ports of 4, 5 and 6 as well. Those ones are a little bit on the expensive side though, if you're interested. But yeah, those are like the best versions of all the games. Obviously at some point we're going to get Dragon Quest 3 remake come out. So hopefully if that does well enough, maybe some of these other games will finally get ported over. Wait and see. And yeah, I've got one last game to talk about, which is like, I think is, in my opinion, one of the best games on the 3DS. And that is Kid Icarus Uprising. So this is basically the last Kid Icarus game we've ever got. It's a series that's not very long lived. I think it was like, the first one was on NES, then there was kind of a port kind of on the Game Boy, and then we had this game, and that's it basically. But yeah, it's a really cool game. We play as this like angel dude called Pit, and unlike, because the other ones were kind of like platformers where you're kind of going up, trying to ascend to heaven, I think it is, or something like that. It's a very interesting game, but this one kind of turns it into more of like a what would you call it, on-rail shooter type of thing. So it's got a very funky control scheme. I'm going to show you something really interesting about this game as well. So it comes in this weird box, and you're going to see why in a second. So obviously you get the game itself. You have these kind of AR cards as well, which aren't open. I'm not going to probably open those. And then it comes with this weird thing, which is a stand for your 3DS. You're supposed to put it on there because basically this has a really funky control scheme. Basically you have to use the stylus to control the aiming on the touchscreen to make sure Pit can like actually aim. And obviously because that would be stupidly uncomfortable, I had to create this whole stand just so you can put it on there and play it, which is just insane to me. But yeah, really cool little oddity. Yeah, it's just it's a really good game. I really hope out of all of the games on 3DS, this is the one that gets ported over, of the Nintendo games anyway. And yeah, really awesome. What I really like as well about this one is it has a good sort of sense of humor as well. It's got the kiddie kind of look to it, but then it's also just like, yeah, incredibly funny. And yeah, it's definitely one that you should be looking to get on 3DS in my opinion. But yeah, that is actually it for my collection for 3DS. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, you know, like and subscribe if you want to. And yeah, hopefully I will catch you guys in the next one. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, but yeah, Have a great rest of your day as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.